Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today I am asking the question, would you microchip yourself to track your vaccine status? And here we go. Now this is coming from The Sun, and oh boy, do I have a lot of thoughts on this. Now, microchip technology startup Epicenter, who's out of Stockholm, Sweden, has already created a chip that can be inserted basically under your skin to allow people to scan basically things like gain access to buildings, all those kinds of things as well. Meaning you basically have this implanted, you can wand it over a door access instead of having a physical card, and it will open the door, open a locker, those kinds of things. Now, they're saying their technology can be used to scan for a vaccine as well. Now, these chips rely on near-field communication, or NFC. Basically, phones use this as well to send data such as like making payments. If you tap your phone against the payment thing, there you go, you're able to pay and all of that, and here we are. Now, Epicenter's Chief Disruption Officer, Haynes, and I'm totally going to butcher his last name because I don't know how to pronounce umlauts, Haynes Jolblad, and I apologize to any Swedes watching this. He said, and I quote, "Implants are a very versatile technology that can be used for many different things. Right now, it's very convenient to have a COVID passport always accessible on your implant, meaning as you get, let's say, that COVID vaccine or that booster or whatever you're getting, you would update your implanted microchip to say, okay, here it is, here's the status, here's the serial number of the vaccine, etc. That way you don't actually have to carry around a physical piece of paper or however any country is doing it that you're watching me from." So with that, we have to talk about this because it comes as health experts are obviously continuing to highlight the success of the vaccine in battling the coronavirus pandemic and its effectiveness against the disease. Now, obviously, Omicron has recently led to a surge in COVID cases, and experts are saying that the booster shots are actually the best move that we have so far against this. And I don't care what your thoughts are on the vaccine. What we're talking about here are virologists and immunologists telling us this, so take that for what it's worth. Now, this basically new chip technology would also utilize NFC in the same way that the technology is used on contactless card readers. In a video explaining how this technology would work, a person basically is shown holding a phone up to their forearm. The phone scans a chip under the skin and then brings up a PDF with details of the person's vaccination. This tiny chip is smaller than a fingernail and can be implanted in the arm or between the thumb and the forefinger. Now, Mr. Jolblad, again, I apologize, said that the implant can also be completely reversed if there comes a time when it's no longer needed, meaning you can pull it out and there you go. These chips aren't currently for sale, but Epicenter made headlines earlier this year when they offered them to staff as a passkey, essentially inserted into their hands. It reportedly also hosts parties when people get quote-unquote chipped. Now, the company's also been working on the technology for years, with the first successful chip implant performed actually in 1998. So they go back quite a ways. US companies have also been offering employees similar microchip implants. I remember actually doing a video/podcast and talking about this on my radio show a couple of years ago, but a company called 3 Square Market, which is based out of Wisconsin here in the United States, was the first to do this in 2017 to give their employees access to locked rooms and the ability to pay for food and drinks. And this was according to Fox News. So, with that is the backdrop of this, and my obvious reaction to this is on the privacy side of things. Everything is vulnerable in some way, so God forbid your implant gets hacked by someone near you and can read your personal info. We saw a rash of like credit card skimmings with the chips in them and all of that, where people would basically passively walk by you and get near you with a scanner that could retrieve all the information from that RFID chip. And the fear is that something like this with NFC would be possible here because, again, everything is vulnerable in some way. Law number 2 of the 5 laws of cybersecurity. The privacy wonk in me cringes. So if you're asking me, Nick, would you get this? My answer is hell no, I wouldn't get this. I'm not stopping you from doing what you want to do. You can make up your own mind, your own informed decision, all of that, but there's no way I'm putting something there that can be passively read by scanners, powerful or not, walking by me. No way. Now, here's what makes this 1,000 times worse, though. And that is basically the conspiracy theorists out there. There's one thing about actually having this privacy and all of that, but the conspiracy theories regarding chipping and COVID have been rampant since the beginning of the pandemic. And consider these quotes from a BBC article at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. And I quote, "First up, a conspiracy theory about vaccines that has spanned the globe. It claims that the coronavirus pandemic is a cover for a plan to implant trackable microchips that the Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates is behind. We found no evidence to support these claims. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation told the BBC the claim was false. Or how about this quote as well? And I quote again. He didn't mention Mr. Gates by name, but in the US, Roger Stone, a former advisor to President Donald Trump, says Bill Gates and others were using the virus for, quote, microchipping people so we can tell whether you've been tested. There you go. That's fanning the flames. Or how about this poll by YouGov from around that same period? They did a poll of 1,640 people, and they basically found that 28% of Americans at that time believed that Bill Gates wanted to actually use the vaccine to implant microchips into people. And when they broke it down demographically by political party, it rose to 44% of Republicans, much lower for Democrats. Again, not getting political here. My point being, though, is that this is making it worse. And so when you've got a company out of Sweden like Epicenter that's coming here, there are going to be people that are going to be freaking out. I told you, this is what's going on, when quite frankly, no, I don't think there's any massive conspiracy theory to chip all of us. This is technology that is up and coming. This is technology that is coming to the forefront and has been for the last few years or so. But I don't think there's a conspiracy here. I personally don't want to be microchipped myself. I have no desire to do that. I feel like I'm tracked more than enough every time I put my phone in my pocket and go somewhere, because the phone's always with me, which means I'm always being tracked in that sense. I don't need to implant anything to be tracked, nor would I want to do that for my stated reasons previously. So there you go. This is absolutely nuts. It's coming at the absolute wrong time. I understand they're trying to solve a problem here. I understand that was the same reason why you'd put apps on a phone and all of that. Another thing that I don't want to do, because again, I don't want anything that's going to track me in some way, shape, or form, or attempt to look at my phone and see what I'm doing, about that. That's not tinfoil hat. We're simply just being data mined, and there you go. And my tinfoil hat is a little bigger than most by virtue of being in cybersecurity. My job is to defend your privacy at all costs, including your data. So there you go. But this is something I think that while the technology is interesting, we're going to see this technology continue to be developed, evolve, probably adopted in some areas. We have to understand that there's going to be a balance. And when we're looking at the future, the last thing we want to create is some kind of division of identity or class based on whether you're microchipped or not. That is basically a recipe for disaster. And as modern societies have shown us, when we start having those kinds of unique identities based on one characteristic or another, it usually doesn't end up well, because now you have an in-group and an out-group, and depending on which you're in, you're always in the in-group and the other's always in the out-group. That's a problem. So I take that as a caveat for the world, or I'm saying that as a caveat for the world. I personally wouldn't get chipped, but I'd love to hear if you would, and if you would, why do you want to get chipped? I think that would be a very interesting conversation to have, because I know there are plenty of people out there that basically feel differently. They feel like they could do this. Well, we're already being data breached. My privacy's already been violated. Might as well go the extra route and make it easier for myself and just get chipped. I'd love to hear that logic, if that is your logic, or another kind of logic out there. But that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please stay private. Thanks, everyone.